Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me today in this live webinar on the important subject of how to change your diet in the spring to lose weight. My name is Kabir Southwick, Ayurvedic doctor and pharmacist in practice for 27 years and offering Zoom appointments worldwide, and also the founder of Herb Man Teas, the sponsor of our talk today. So, why do we want to change our diet in the winter? Well, of course, according to Ayurveda, we need to modify our diet with the seasons. The three main seasons for are based on the three harvest periods. If we were living on a farm and growing our own food, then we would know what these are. We have the spring harvest where we're getting the spring vegetables, and then we get the spring to early summer, and then we get the fall harvest, and then we get a little winter harvest. And of course, if you're a hunter and you're also hunting for some of your food, you're going to be getting this game more towards the after summer in the fall hunting season, where after the animals have already had their offspring. And if you're having cows on your farm, maybe they're going to have their calves at this point, so you wouldn't be getting so much milk. So at this point, it's not the best time to hunt. So it's not the best time to be eating a lot of animal protein. It's not the best time to be having a lot of milk because the cows are, all nursing. So naturally, if you were on a farm, you would be eating less animal protein, less milk. Now, you would have a lot of like fermented foods left over that you jarred and pickled during the winter. And you'd also have beans left over from your fall harvest as your source of protein now, because it would be harder for you to, hunt, or maybe you weren't able to do as much hunting during the winter. So if you were living on the land, you would be in tune with these cycles. Now, according to Ayurveda, if you don't change your diet in the spring, the summer, the fall, and the winter accordingly, then this can create health imbalances, which ultimately can lead to disease. And in spring, we could just look at the animals, for example, like a squirrel. And a squirrel, he will in the fall, he'll collect all the little nuts and he'll kind of plump it up and even store the nuts through the winter, just like a person would store animal protein and pickled products, and canned products through the winter and eat those until spring came. And then when spring came, he would have all the little sprouts, and there maybe would be some roots still underneath the ground, which he can dig up. Deers even dig up roots, in the early spring to get some food, and they eat the early sprouts of early leaves on the trees. So this would be their natural diet. And to some degree, if you were growing your own garden, you'd start to have, like, all my vegetables are now like about this high. So I could be trimming all these off and be having a sprout salad, and already have some cilantro coming out. I've got carrots that are small, but I could do the carrot tops. You know, uh, a lot of leafy greens are still I have little sprouts of them. And of course, we have for the summer harvest, we have the nightshade family, the tomatoes, the eggplant, the bell pepper, and they should start coming forward in the summer. And in fact, they say if you have the nightshades in the winter, causes more inflammation than if you have the nightshades in the summer. And many people now know nightshades like tomatoes cause inflammation. But in Ayurveda, in their season where you would harvest them in the summer, they're not as inflammatory. And if you eat them out of season, which I think many of us do have tomatoes out of season, then this creates inflammation. Many people know it. These tomatoes or nightshades or lectins, the skin and the seed of tomatoes in particular, are inflammatory, but it's really, according to Ayurveda, it's more inflammatory in the winter because you're eating it out of season. And when you come into the spring, like I said, if you were living on the land, you wouldn't have so much meat. Maybe you'd have some jerky dried from last year that you smoked and you dried. You would have little animal protein. you just have your garden just starting to come forward with the sprouts, and you'd probably be having a lot of pickles, a jarred food left over still, that took you through the winter, waiting for your spring harvest to come forward. So that's where we'd be naturally, and that's what you need to be following to stay in harmony with nature and allow your body to adjust to the different temperatures. Because in the wintertime, it's cold and dry, and this is a time we're going to create more mucus. And because of the cold, we want to eat more warming foods and garlic and onions and put on weight to protect us from the cold and the wind. So generally, we need thicker skin, literally, to uh, build resistance against the cold, windy weather in the wintertime. So in the winter, when it's freezing and I'm going outside in freezing weather, even though I'm all, have my jacket and everything, you feel like after I've been outside taking care of my animals in the winter time, sometimes I have to put like a blanket on my horse. I have to put, heating bowls for the water for the chickens, the ducks, the cats, the dogs, so their water doesn't freeze. So there's always a little work I have to do or maintain during the winter for the animals. And little lamps. I have doves, so I have to keep them all warm. But anyway, when I come in from that cold weather, taking care of my animals, whether it's in the early morning or in the evening, I am so hungry. I feel like I could just you know, eat a big, heavy meal. I feel like something warm and hot and big. That's where I'm going to want to feel like pasta or some big chunk of fish, or, I don't eat much red meat at all and none at all, really. But, I just feel like I need to eat more. And particularly in the morning, I feel like I have to have a bigger meal because I'm going to go out in the cold weather. So, but in the spring, not so. Now we want to cool the body down. We want to shed the extra fat. And if we don't change our diet in the spring, we'll accumulate fat, we'll accumulate mucus, basically kapha dosha. Kapha dosha is more dominant in the springtime. So we basically are following a more kapha balancing diet. Kapha balancing diet is basically more of a lighter diet. So these are the key words: light and dry. So you're wanting light and dry foods to lighten the body, lose some weight, and a little bit more dry, not so oily and heavy that we have in the wintertime. And then you will lose, I can fluctuate 5, 6 pounds, even 10 pounds between winter and late spring. And that's normal. So now that spring's here, we want to eat lighter foods. What would we do for instead of having steaks and pasta, we can have more bean dishes. Instead of a big hearty breakfast of eggs and animal protein, we could just eat maybe an apple. And now that it's very hot outside and I go out in the morning to take care of my animals, it's hot. When I come back inside, I'm fine with an apple. I'm a little sweaty. Sometimes I take a shower to cool down and just eat an apple and I'm fine. So now's the time to be like skipping breakfast or having a lighter dinner. During the winter, I want 3 heavy meals to keep myself warm and, during the winter. And now I'm just having just very light dinners. I mean, even I could skip dinners. I've just been having like salads with a little salmon chopped on top and not big heavy meals. So that's the key theme for the winter. I mean, spring is lighter foods. Pasta is heavy, cheese is heavy, and meat is heavy. So all lighter foods instead of dark chicken meat, at least do white chicken meat. But, for many of us, we could just do legumes, beans. So, usually I'll do like a salad with some garbanzo beans or black bean salad or a quinoa salad, and that's it for dinner. And since I skip breakfast, I'm pretty hungry by lunch. So sometimes I have a little bit bigger lunch. So you could first go down to 2 meals a day. And also in the spring, you could start to, and particularly during the summer, you would have more fruit would come. We don't have a lot of fruit during the winter. I mean, we have some citrus in some parts of the country, but most of the fruit's going to come out in the summer. So during the summer, can have all the cooling fruit, particularly the tropical fruit. The tropical fruits, of course, are grown in tropical environments and are cooling. So coconut water, mango, all these summer cooling fruit. So, maybe for some people, you could have a breakfast and just fruit all during the day, sweet fruit, not citrus, not orange and grapefruit. These are sour fruits that are warming the body, and they're more suitable to the winter. Now, of course, we know why uh, citrus warms our bodies because the niacin. But, it's just a matter of fact. If you eat like 10 oranges, your whole body will just become warm. I did this one time in Hawaii. I was hiking and found a wild orange tree, and I ate about 20 oranges, and my whole body became red and flushed and sweaty. So that was a big lesson, even a good thing, you can't have too much. So you can't really do a cleanse on citrus. It's just too heating. You have to do cooling, sweet fruits. And as we're talking about cleansing or fasting, of course, online, everybody promotes their theory. Oh, everybody promotes intermediate fasting. It's the new fad now. If you go back 5 years, nobody was hardly talking about it. Most people don't even advise how to do fasting properly. And first of all, during the winter isn't the time to fast. Is the best time to fast is the summer when it's hot. And you don't have to fast on nothing. You can even just fast on apples all day long to keep you full and clean you out, cooling, sweet fruits. So now is the time to have one less meal a day, maybe fast one day a week, or do a little fruit fast one day a week, or even a couple days in the summer, not all year round. Just, this is the problem with people online who promote these kind of theories of, should only never have dairy products and or only eat animal products. I mean, they're just different extremes. To some degree, they're right at certain times of the year for certain people. It's not that people are wrong. It's the details. It's the lack of knowledge that people say these things. Um, and but now is the time to do these cleanses, to lose the weight, to let the weight come down, get through the summertime, do more fasting. And then when fall comes, when it starts to get a little cold, then you can relax and start to eat a little more animal protein, more heavier meals, and literally gain weight and allow the body to prepare for the cold winter. Now, of course, it depends on where you live. If you're living in the southern hemisphere, everything is the opposite. And if your weather isn't very extreme, like Southern California, you're not going to have a cold winter or a very hot summer. So the amount you have to change your diet will be less. But here in Southern Texas, we have a hot summer, we have a cold winter, and we have a clear fall, a clear spring, and the harvest is very much geared to these seasons. Well, in Southern California, you can almost grow year round, particularly in a little greenhouse. You can just grow almost all year round, almost most vegetables. So, if your weather's more moderate, then it's going to be different. So it also depends on where you live. If you live in Hawaii and it's nice and warm, then you're going to have tropical foods all the time. But even when it's raining, Ayurveda says you shouldn't have cold foods and yogurt and milk during rainy days. So there's a lot of details in Ayurveda. That's why they call it wisdom, not YouTube research. It's a big difference between ancient wisdom and social media healthcare. Social media healthcare was just invented recently and is mostly based on fads and people's personal opinions of people who are unqualified. And they just keep changing, and they're more interested in an audience or promoting themselves than they are anything else. But Ayurveda, this is ancient wisdom. It's been going back thousands of years to adjust your diet to the seasons, eat what's in season, allow your body to, gain a little weight in the winter and lose the weight in the spring and have your lowest weight in the summer. So now is the time to do your spring cleanse, do your spring detox, to be fasting, to eating lighter and not eating so much animal protein. and lose some weight. Now's the easy time. A lot of people struggle in losing weight in the winter because it's the wrong time to lose weight. The body doesn't want to lose a weight in the winter, but now the body wants to shed it. And if you don't make these changes, you will accumulate your weight. So if you don't make the change to your diet now, maybe you put on 5 or 10 pounds during the winter and you don't shed it now, well, next year you're going to start 5 or 10 pounds higher. And then, after 10, 15 years, you're up to 50 pounds. So, if you gained a little weight, now's the time to lose it so you don't accumulate the extra weight. And also, if we don't clear the mucus and the phlegm from the body, we'll have respiratory allergies in the spring. And of course, being in practice for decades and selling herbal products online, I can see the amount of people who have asthma, bronchitis, respiratory mucus, and congestion. It's already started. We can see that these things are starting already to sell online, and I'm getting more and more appointments of people with respiratory congestion and mucus. So these are the people that really need to be doing the cleanse and changing their diet, but they're not. They're still having, the wrong foods in the spring when now's the time they need to cleanse. And if they don't, then they're going to have respiratory conditions in particular and weight gain, kapha type of conditions. So I hope that motivated you to change your diet, eat a little lighter, start your fasting, and we're going to do a whole webinar on how to properly fast. Don't follow the people you see online. Many of them are communicating how to fast completely incorrect in kind of a very simplified way of, don't eat for 18 hours or don't eat for so many hours. This is very crude, and there's many flaws to that approach. But we're going to do a whole webinar on that next week, proper way to fast, and now is the time to do it in the spring and the summer. Okay? But you can start with just eating lighter, less animal protein, less dairy, less meals, more fruit, and not eating as late and not having heavy meals at late, just allowing the body to naturally cleanse and shed the weight without a big effort. That's the beauty of spring. You're going with the tide. It's easy to lose weight in the spring. It's down. You don't have to, go to the gym and starve yourself because your body is happy to shed these extra pounds right now. But you can do this now for the next few months, right through the whole summer. Okay? And we'll give a talk on how to eat and in the summer and the health issues that often develop with people in the summer who don't change their diet. Summer is also important. Winter, fall, also important. We have to be in harmony with the nature to stay healthy. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this motivated you to modify your diet, lose a little weight, avoid respiratory conditions, and stay in harmony with nature. Thank you very much.